I'm Jan Fries, the Executive Director of the Texas Counseling Association. One of our primary responsibilities is being your voice on public policy. But TCA cannot do that alone. You, as professional counselors, are the best advocates for your clients and for your profession. Why should you care? Because every aspect of the counseling profession is governed by public policy. It's so important to find your voice.
Being an advocate is an identity. That's who we are as counselors. It's not something that's laid on top of what we do. It's our personality. It's who we are. And it's what we share.
You know, I hear these commercials all the time, see commercials that say, together we can make a difference. Well, that together is made up of individuals. And I said, and you can be that individual who votes, who calls your legislator to offer to help with their campaigns or to thank them for supporting our issues. I said, something that you did as one person. And then imagine if everybody did it together. So don't wait for the together. You do it as one first.
Let me tell you about some myths about advocacy. I know as professional counselors, you are trained to be advocates. But you are advocating in a very confidential setting. And so when you think about advocacy in the public setting, many people have a disdainful view. They think advocacy denotes a dirty profession. But in fact, advocacy is the highest form of participation in our form of government. Another myth is that advocacy is only for professional lobbyists. But that's not true. The best advocates are those individuals with real experience and a personal perspective on the issue that's on the table. A third myth is that to be a successful advocate, you have to know someone. Well, in fact, politicians really like getting to know their own constituents. So if they don't know their constituents, they won't get reelected. So they're not looking to know all the lobbyists, although that does help. You, as their constituent, can be one of the most effective advocates for the issues that you care about.
A constituent is very different from a lobbyist because constituents are generally sharing their actual experience with things. Lobbyists, they're very well informed about the issue, which is great, but being well informed is very different from having actual experience with an issue.
I think it does matter when you get information directly from a constituent rather than from a lobbyist. A lobbyist is extremely knowledgeable. They're very strategic. They absolutely have an important role in advocacy in the state legislature. But when information comes directly from a constituent, it provides a completely different lens on the information. There's no filter. It's very compassionate. It's very honest. It's very authentic. And I think when you provide that kind of story and you share your direct experiences with a staffer or the member themselves, you're really creating a direct connection with that member. They're really being able to understand, and you as an advocate for your own community are really driving home the way the issues impact you.
So how do you promote your profession? Showcase the benefits of your work. Stir emotions with your stories. Help them care. Repeat your message at every single meeting. Never waste time in a meeting by just sitting in the chair. And encourage your clients to engage in the political process. It is also absolutely essential that you contact your elected officials.
I would say first, do your homework. Make sure you know what the bill is and what it would do. And also do your homework on the legislator, him or herself. What committees does he or she sit on? My second tip would be to make an ask. Know exactly what you are asking the legislator to do when you go into the meeting so that he or she leaves with a clear sense of what the purpose of the meeting was and what he or she can do to help you. And third, I would say follow up by leaving a one-pager with some information and contacting the staffers again to make sure that your message has been heard and know what's going to happen next.
How do you influence decisions? The first thing is to engage early and engage often. Use the media. Write letters to the editor. Submit op-ed pieces. Provide data. Offer solutions. Help your elected officials. Help your employers. Help them make good decisions. by telling them the good decisions they need to make. And then follow up. After you've met with them, go back and ask them, what have you done? How can I help you? What else do you need? You need to follow up, because coming right in that door behind you is someone else with a whole nother set of issues that they're advocating for.
I think the most important thing to do when following up after a legislative visit is to make sure you stay on the member's radar, but without maybe allowing your energy to overwhelm the issue. You want to make sure that you're available and that they are connecting your face with the issue or your contact information, your name, but that the follow-up is coordinated with part of the legislative process. I think as bills and issues come to the forefront of a legislator's mind, it's important to follow up as, for example, a bill moves through the legislative process. So if the bill has had a hearing and you were able to attend the hearing, but maybe the constituent is wanting to change someone's views or change their mind about how they might be voting on that, I think it's important for constituents to engage in tracking the legislative process as well and ensure to coordinate their efforts with that.
Follow-up is very important, especially during the session, because everyone in the office has a lot on their plates, including the official. And it's very easy for things to get swept under the rug right after a meeting. So a follow-up call or an email just to say, hey, remember when I was here the other day? We just want to make sure you're still on board with whatever it is. It can be very helpful, and we really do appreciate it when we're engaged again by constituents, because we feel bad if we forget something, so it can be very helpful to have that reminder.
Great.
What makes an effective advocate? An effective advocate is a great consensus builder. So who are effective advocates? Who am I describing? I'm describing professional counselors. I'm describing you.
I wanted to be an example of what an advocate is. It's easy to get up before a group and say, you need to do this, you need to get involved, you need to email, call, visit the Capitol. You have to show by example if you're going to mentor. And I was able to do that. I was able to tell my students about the things that I was involved in. I was able to tell them what it was like to go before the Public Education Committee, the Senate Education Committee, and promote something that was dear to me.
So what do you do next? First thing you need to do is figure out who represents you. How can you find that out? In Texas, it's so easy to get access to the information. Once you find out who represents you, then you need to write them or visit them. Don't assume that they know who you are. They have no knowledge of the fact that all of you have graduate degrees, have thousands of hours of supervision under your belt, and thousands of hours of continuing education. Be there, ready with information. If you do not have the information, offer to find the information. The trick, though, is to follow up after you've made that offer. And of course, we would ask you to come and attend at least one of the advocacy days that TCA sponsors every session of the Texas legislature.
A phone call is better than a letter, and a personal visit is better than a phone call. We like to meet with constituents whenever we can, and when we do meet with them, it really helps to hear a personal story as opposed to just general talking points. Talking points are great too, but I would say that one personal story is better than 100 identical form letters that we would get.
Well, you know, in the presentation I spoke about Advocacy Day. We love Advocacy Day. Almost a year before the session, we reserve the cafeteria for 3 days because we want you to walk into the Capitol, go down the steps into the cafeteria where the place is buzzing. In Texas, unlike in Congress, it's so easy to even just bump into your elected official because especially early in the morning, they're all going through the cafeteria to get breakfast. There's no special separate private dining rooms for people. They're walking the halls, and we've had many members on Advocacy Day not able to get an appointment with their elected official, but end up standing in line with them and engaging them in very dynamic conversation on the issues that they're there to talk about. You know, we know that it may be hard for some of you to make it all the way to Austin for an Advocacy Day, but that doesn't mean you can't hold one in your local community. While we're down in Austin, a wonderful way for you to support that activity is for you to hold a local advocacy day. Get your colleagues together. Use that as an opportunity to sit down and write letters or make phone calls. Maybe the day before you can call in to your legislative offices. Let them know that your representatives from the Texas Counseling Association will be coming by to visit and represent you because you can't make it. Use that as an opportunity to go and meet with the staff of your elected officials in the district office. Building relationships in your local district office is an incredibly effective way to help your elected officials really understand the connection between the work that you do and their constituents and their goals for the economic success of their community. What does TCA do? We host 3 advocacy days. We provide testimony at committee meetings on issues that impact professional counselors. We promote the public service announcements. We organize and submit comments on the rules that regulate your profession. We can provide you with technical support when you're getting ready to launch an advocacy program in your chapter, in your division, or in your local community.
With TCA, I've learned much about advocacy. I've learned how to talk to legislators. I've learned how to talk to legislators' assistants. I've learned how to talk to members. I've learned how to talk to community members. It's been an extremely gratifying experience. And again, half the time I felt like I didn't really know what I was talking about because I would just be confronted with things on a day-to-day basis, and the only thing I knew to draw from were others' experiences maybe as leaders and input that I had from TCA leaders, from TCA staff. And then suddenly I would be cast into situations where I was having to speak and appear knowledgeable, and I found that I was knowledgeable. And once I started having confidence in that, and once I started realizing that, I think that I was able to make some meaningful contributions.
So the question now is, what will you do for you? And as professional counselors, you change the world every single day. Help your clients, help yourselves to continue down that very, very noble path by finding your voice and using it now. Thank you very much for your time and attention. It was a pleasure to be with you. If you need any additional information, please don't hesitate to contact the Office of the Texas Counseling Association.